Today, I want to talk about a really interesting topic that I am sure many of you have faced, or your loved ones have faced, or a friend has faced. And the topic today is, dealing with narcissists. And specifically, I want to talk about common strategies and tricks that narcissists will employ on vulnerable people, or just people who may not realize they're dealing with a narcissist. And I'm going to share some real examples of these strategies that have happened to me and people I know. Okay. And I want to share them so, one, you can recognize if you're being manipulated by narcissists. I didn't realize sometimes until I read more about it. And also so you can be more aware in the future to protect yourself and just be a bit more savvy. Because that's exactly what a narcissist wants, for someone to be unaware of what they're doing. And it can really mess with your life. I've seen horrifically damaging effects of people I know personally having to deal with narcissists. And they can really turn your life upside down, and the damage it can last for years. And so this is something quite close to my heart, and this is something I know a lot of you in my community, you're a bunch of really kind, compassionate people in my community. I have a really lovely community. Thank you for being here. And I know if you're listening to this, chances are you're just an overall good egg, okay? You're a good egg, you're a good bean. And so let's get to it. So number one of the classic strategies of a narcissist is love bombing. And you might have heard this, but love bombing is when, in a way, they cross the boundaries very quickly when you're strangers. You might just get to know somebody and they love bomb you. They buy you, if it's a romantic relationship, they want to spend time with you all the time. They buy you chocolates. They give you all the attention that you've craved, and you're like, whoa, And you think, wow, this is a bit much, but it also feels nice, because if you've been craving attention and you've been looking for love, you feel, wow, this is lovely. Is this how it's supposed to be? And what happens is when someone love bombs you, especially a narcissist, it tries to break down the boundaries and the barriers quicker. And unfortunately, what happens is, once they've love bombed you and you're like, wow, I feel like a princess, they treat me like a queen, or they treat me like a king, then what they do is they withdraw, and they'll give the love and they'll withdraw. They'll go silent. You won't hear from them for a while. And what will happen is you will spend the next couple of years sometimes this hot coal, thinking to yourself, but I know how good it can be. These are the exact words of someone I love that experienced this. And she said, I remember how good it was, and I just wanted to go back to that. And you will hold on and put up with nonsense and bad behavior and narcissistic behavior, because you think, no, they are the person. I know this person, and they treated me really well at the beginning. And what you need to realize, it's a strategy. When somebody moves too quick too soon, sometimes it's real love, and rarely can, I'd say in 10% of cases I've seen it is true. But 90% of times when someone's moving too quick too soon, and they're just kind of overwhelming you with love and attention and gifts, you just got to keep an eye out for that, because it's a classic tactic called love bombing. And I personally have experienced it myself, okay? So just be aware of that. Number two is this tactic called gaslighting. I'm sure this is a hot topic, and I'm sure we've heard about this in Netflix series. We've heard about this. This is quite a common thing. And to those that don't know what gaslighting is, actually, I actually didn't know the term. I don't really watch television. Confession, I don't watch television. So, and I try not to read the news. I prefer to consume content of my choice. So I don't just have content pushed at me. If I want to read about a topic, I hear about it and then I'll read up about it. But I don't read the news. I don't just put the news on every day. Anyway, I digress. What was I talking about? Gaslighting. Anyway, gaslighting is basically when they make you question yourself, think, man, did I say that? They make you question yourself. And you think, I'm going crazy. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, just tell me in the comments. It comes from the movie where a guy, he would, the partner of this lady would, without her knowledge, turn down the gas and the light, but without, and when she questioned it, she said, did you see, did the gas go down? Did the light go down? He said, no, I think you're going crazy. And gaslighting makes you question yourself. And I've got a real example of this something that happened to someone I know. And a real example. Here's an example. So this guy was getting to know this girl. And he said her birthday was coming up, right? And he said, and she really wanted, I don't want to give too much detail because it's a real situation. So let's just say it's a handbag, okay? And so she's been wanting this handbag for a long time. It's a beautiful handbag. And he said, oh, your birthday's next month. I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you. You just, And so she's really excited. And she says, ooh, but is that present that's too expensive for my birthday? And she's like really secretly quite excited. Her birthday comes and he takes her out to dinner and there's no gift. There's no handbag. And she says, oh, maybe tomorrow. Maybe, it's so lovely that he took me out for dinner, But, and also something to note here is some of her friends asked her what gift she wanted. And she mentioned other gifts, not the handbag, because she thought, oh, he's going to get me the handbag, And she felt quite embarrassed to ask him because she thought, am I being entitled? Am I, asking him for a handbag? It's quite an expensive handbag, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned it. And so she asked me. And for me, I think your word is your word. And I think sometimes if you're not sure, I think you should communicate and talk to him, all right? And so she talked to him and she said, hey, remember a month ago you said you'd get me a handbag for my birthday. Can I ask what happened there? And he said, no, I didn't say that. When did I say that? And he looked at her with genuine shock. And then she went back to me and she said, no, I remember. And she said, oh, sorry. She said to him, oh, sorry, maybe I've got it wrong. And he just laughed, He said, yeah, it's okay. He said, it's okay. She went back to me and she said, Aisha, where would I have got that thought from, She said, that's such a random thought to think he would buy that for me. I definitely didn't imagine that, And this was a classic strategy by this narcissistic knob, okay? He later ruined her life, to be honest, for a few years. And she's getting out of it now. She's finally over it, thank goodness. But it took her a few years. But this was a strategy he used. He would gaslight her. And that's something that you need to be very aware of, Don't let anybody question. If someone has said something, you've got to stand firm and say, no, I wouldn't have thought that unless you said it. And your word's your word. Okay, don't let anybody question you and say, are you going crazy? Are you sure? Maybe you're tired. Maybe you haven't slept enough. Just put, just have a firm boundary and say, no, I remember what I remember. I know what I said. Don't let somebody allow you to question yourself. Okay. So that's number 2. And number 3 is the strategy of playing the victim. And I've had to deal with this quite a few times because I'm a recovering people pleaser. I don't know if you're listening to this, if you can relate, but I had a real issue with just wanting everybody to like me, okay? I'm better now. I have much better boundaries now, and I've worked through it, right? But I used to be a real people pleaser, and I wanted to save everybody. I had God syndrome. My sister called it God syndrome, where you want to save everybody. And I wanted to help everybody, and unfortunately, this drew quite a lot of narcissists in my life. And a classic example of a narcissist is they'll play the victim, especially if they've behaved badly. And I can give an example of a narcissist. I actually had to work with this person. And basically, I helped them a lot, And I love training my team up. If you're new here, I run a blogging business and I like to train up new writers. And hopefully then once they're trained up, I hire them and pay them. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. Send me a message. But this particular person, I hired her, trained her up. But every time there was time for a deadline, there was some drama and always some issue. And I'm running a business here. Obviously, I can't continue to, I can't keep on saving people, you know? But for me, like the last straw, this has continuously happened, you know? And the last straw for me was on the anniversary of my best friend who passed away. And, you know, every time the day of her anniversary, obviously it's a hard time for me. And this person waited till I was online, just waiting, you know? And then suddenly it was all sob story, and it said, "Oh, I'm a failure. I've let you down. I'm miserable. I'm a failure. I couldn't deliver on time, blah, blah, blah." But I know for a fact that the week before they were wasting time because they were sending me all sorts of videos and nonsense. Like, they were wasting time. And that's just one small example of, you know, playing the victim all the time when you're trying to correct their behavior. And I remember, like, when I corrected their behavior and I said, it's just not good enough, you know? I'm really sorry to hear for the 5th time that there's some issue, but a deadline is a deadline, and I've given many extensions, and we put it behind us. And then they made a joke. They made a joke, but right after they made a joke about my business. And I just thought, are you crazy? Why do you think that's appropriate? You've let me down on the day that my best friends passed away. It caused me a lot of stress, affected my project. We've worked through it. We've talked through it firmly. I've forgiven you. I've said, fine, that's fine. You know, we'll have an extension. And then you put it behind you and just make a joke about my business, about, you know, deadlines and stuff. And I just think a narcissist, they can't empathize, and they can't see beyond what their needs are, to be honest. And so just bear in mind, if you're constantly dealing with someone that has a lot of drama and they're constantly the victim, there's a common denominator, and that the common denominator is them. Okay, so another real tactic that a narcissist will employ. So we've got so how many have we done here? 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th tactic, okay? And it's called Blamshifting. And so Blameshifting basically means when they've been caught out with bad behavior or doing something wrong, and you call them out, they will shift the blame, and suddenly you're the wrong person. An example of this could be, I've heard about this, where, for example, let's just say there's a serial cheater, and let's say the girl's the cheater, actually, because let's not stereotype. Let's say the girl's been cheating, and the guy has kind of been suspecting, like, I don't know, I just don't trust, you know, there's been signs here. And, you know, she's been given all sorts of excuses. And let's say, unfortunately, he checks her phone and finds loads of messages. And to be clear, I don't agree with people checking each other's phones. I've never checked my husband's phone, and hopefully vice versa. You know, I feel like you should trust your partners, and I don't agree with, you know, checking each other's phones. But anyway, my point was, let's just say, you know, you have checked your partner's phone, and, you know, he found out she was cheating. And instead of, you know, yes, it was wrong that he checked her phone, she goes mental about the fact that, oh, you invaded my privacy, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, wait a minute, you've been doing the dirty. You've been doing it. You've been a dirty dog, you know? And just taking the blame away from her behavior of her cheating. That's an example, you know? Or let's just say if somebody's, let's just say if someone in an argument and they're being super disrespectful and you just lose it. Let's just say they swear at you. And then you start shouting, like, don't ever swear at me. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're aggressive, you're crazy. And it's like, hang on a minute. Yes, don't need to raise your voice. Hands up. I raise my voice all the time. It's something I'm working on. I lose my temper quite quickly. But my point is, if someone swears at me, like if my partner swears at me, best believe I'm shouting at them, baby. Yes. Okay? I have a very, very strict rule. Do not ever swear at me, joking or in anger. And for me, like, if someone says the F word and says F off to me, game over. Okay? We're humans. We need to learn how to speak to each other with respect. And if you can't even speak to me with basic respect, then don't be with me. That's my rule anyway. My point is, let's just say, I mean, that's happened to me before, where this person, like F this, F that, F you, B word, C word. And eventually I was like, hang on a minute. How dare you talk to me like that, you know? And I lost my temper, and he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, why are you being crazy? Narcissist, classic narcissist, kick him to the curb. So that's another example. And then another, I think I'll give a final one here, is the fifth example is entitlement. And I've seen this a lot. Entitlement, narcissists feel that they, for no particular reason, deserve to have special treatment. And so, for example, let's say you're all sharing accommodation in a nice vacation house. They will take the biggest room. Oh, I should get the biggest room automatically. Or I should pick the restaurant. I actually knew a narcissist that we didn't, every time we didn't go to the restaurant or the breakfast place she wanted, she was like, I'm not eating. I don't want to eat here, and make it really uncomfortable for everybody. And then I thought to myself, I wouldn't do that. We can't always eat at the place that you want. You know, she wanted to eat at more upmarket places, and sometimes people don't want to do that, right? And that's classic. Entitlement is a classic narcissist behavior. Oh, I only stay in 5-star hotels, you know? And it's like coming, you know, there was a guy I knew, he's like, I only stay in 5-star hotels. I was like, bro, you can't afford 5-star hotels. You're expecting people to pay for your 5-star hotel. That's the issue. Like, if you only want to stay in 5-star hotels and you can afford it, you do that. Ooh, good for you. Take your girl out. Go wild. But an entitlement is you can't afford it, and you're entitled to it, but then you expect other people to pay for it. I actually knew someone that did this. They refused to take the bus. They only want to stay in fancy places, but they expected their girlfriend to cover it, and shocking behavior. So that's basically the 5 examples of a narcissist. So just remember that a narcissist won't do it directly. It's very subtle and very slow. They won't immediately employ all these tactics on you. It will be over time, and they will definitely not do it around people that are more savvy. So for me, I feel, I don't know, maybe not, but I feel now I'm a bit more aware of narcissists and a bit more savvy. So when I've heard about these stories, they've been done to people, they've been in front of me, they don't dare to do it in front of me. But then I hear about it, you know, from the person I love. And so just remember that, you know, you're not going crazy, and, you know, you can release yourself from a narcissist. It takes time, a lot of energy. It's better if you don't get involved with a narcissist. And overall, you know, it takes time to overcome it, but you can. But just be very wary, and more than happy to chat about this privately. You can send me an Instagram message, Aisha Priest. I'll put it in the show notes. I think it's just called the show notes. You can send me an email to my blog at ambeyond.com. But yeah, if you're struggling with this and you want to know how to deal with it, I'm not an expert. I'm not a medical professional, but I've got plenty of experience dealing with narcissists and people I know dealing with narcissists. And you're not alone. You're not silly. And I just wish you lots of luck and lots of peace. Thanks for listening.